For starters who got their Nova Prime, I know that you are enjoying her fourth ability right now, which is considered to be one of the best crowd control of the game. I mean, honestly, who don't like to see a room full of enemies who are in slow motion? However, you will enjoy Nova more if you use her other abilities. She doesn't only slow enemies, but she can also make them move faster. She can also teleport, able to nuke a crowd of enemies, and can be a semi-tank due to her damage mitigation. If you want to know how to do all of that, then stick around, as I'll show you the true power of Nova. So first, let's talk about her abilities. I will be brief with this one, and I will just talk about the things you need to know. But, if you want a more detailed guide on each abilities, I suggest you to visit my Boom Nova video, which I will leave the link at the video description below. So Null Star gives Nova those particles that are floating around her, which seeks out nearby enemies and damage them. But, the main purpose of this ability is for damage mitigation. Give it 306% power duration, and it will give you 18 particles, which then converts to 90% damage mitigation. Her antimatter drop is her nuke ability. Its radius is not affected by any range mods, and its damage absorb multiplier isn't affected by power strength mods. The orb damage or the contact damage does increase when you have power strength on your build, but it's not really that big at all. So, I advise you not to put a lot of power strength on your Nova, just the needed amount if you are going for a slow Nova build. Also, you are able to control this ability through aiming, but the ball's movement are too slow that this feature isn't that helpful at all. Lastly, this ability deals radiation damage, which makes it not that good against high armored units, but this does synergy well with your molecular prime, as when enemy gets affected by your fourth, the ball gains double damage. Wormhole is basically your teleport ability. Number of portals and use are definite, and can't be increased by any mods. Only the range and duration of the portals can be modded. And lastly, her fourth ability, Molecular Prime. So basically, what you need to know about this ability are, you can slow enemies by giving it at least 145% power strength, while you can build a Speed Nova by giving it a negative 30% power strength, which can be done by adding a fully rank overextended. Its wave expansion duration and prime duration are affected by ability duration, while its initial range is not affected by ability range. So basically, you need to get as much duration if you want to prime all enemies in a room. The radius, and as well as the explosion radius that are presented in this description, talks about the blast damage dealt to the primed enemies when they die, and not actually talks about how wide the ability can spread. Lastly, not only her second ability deals double damage to the enemies, but all sources can deal 200% more damage to those primed enemies. Okay, now that you have some knowledge on each abilities, let's proceed to the build section of this video. So first build variation is on how to build a slow Nova, but this build doesn't offer just hard CC, but can also give you a semi-tanking capability. With 306% power duration, you will have 90% damage mitigation, and pair it with the new adaptation mod, you will most likely be able to take a hit from high-level units. However, don't expect it to be super tanky, as damage mitigation alone isn't that good against enemies that level scale over 130 plus. But don't worry, as enemies won't hit you rapidly, because of the fact that you can slow them with your molecular prime, and of course, neutron star. This will allow you to freely recast null star, when you are running low on particles. The thing about Novas first is that, it seeks out enemies, and each particle lost subtracts 5% of your damage mitigation. That's the flaw of this ability, and, if you want to keep it at 90% always, then you need to use her first ability, Augment. By the way, I added Umbrella Intensifier and Umbral Vitality not just for more EHP, but also to get power strength for Molecular Prime's 75% slow debuff. This build basically favored those who uses just her fourth ability, and wants to have another form of safety net, just in case there are still enemies that are not primed. But, for those who love to use her antimatter drop ability, then this is not the ideal build for you, as I don't have an energy mod on this build. What you will need to do is sacrifice some duration, replace Augur Message with Streamline so you can have enough efficiency on your build to cast your first, second and fourth ability when you need them. Lastly, if you don't have the Umbral mods yet, then go for the Ordinary Vitality, and then add Intensify plus Power Drift so you will get that 75% slow debuff. The second build variation is for Speed Nova, or for those who find their place as a great utility in team plays, because they are able to hasten a mission. Okay, this is not actually the most optimal or considered to be the standard build for a Speed Nova. In fact, you should definitely take my builds as a reference to create your very own build, as I know some of you may prefer to stick with their playstyle. Just remember, when building a Speed Nova, you need to have a negative power strength, which can be done with the overextended mod, since Speed Nova is needed in team composition, and most likely, you will be spamming your 4th ability. I just choose to have lots of efficiency with the help of rank 4 fleeting expertise. Survivability won't be a problem as usually, Speed Nova sits in one corner, spamming her 4th, while the rest take care of killing the enemies. But, just to be safe, I added 65% damage mitigation on my build, plus the neutron star so I can recast my first, and then adaptation. The third one is more of a farming build. This can be used when collecting resources in open spaces, like in the plains of Eidolon or in Orb Vallis. A teleport would be enough, but I added crowd control just in case I run into some enemies while collecting some resources. I did not settle for lots of range, as 70+ meters is pretty sufficient for my wormhole, but, like I have said earlier, this depends on your playstyle, and you can tinker my build which will suit your own liking if you want. Before you leave, here's a quick tip. Antimatter Drop's damage is insane when it's fully charged, but the biggest challenge is charging it as quick as possible. You need to choose between weapons with lots of fire rate or weapons with lots of damage to charge the ball fast. To name a few weapons that can charge the ball fast, there's Tigris Prime, Sancti Tigris, Quanta Vandal, Synoid Gammaker and Optica. But right now, I am fully satisfied with my Archoplasma and charging my antimatter drop in one shot. With the recent addition of Prime Charged Shell, you can build up the radiation damage of your Archoplasma up to almost 30k, that you will be able to charge your antimatter drop in just one shot. The best part is, this weapon has a wide projectile, so probably, you won't need to aim accurately to hit the ball. All you need to do is, cast your second ability, and then hit it with your Archoplasma projectile, and you see that mini nuke exploding in the faces of those closely grouped enemies. So that's it. Hope that you find this video informative. Like always, don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoy watching this video and subscribe for more informative Warframe content. Also, you can join the squad on Discord, and follow your squad leader on Twitter. Links are on the video description below. Thank you so much for watching. Squad leader signing off.